All right, we will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Claims in the amount of, oh, by the way, oh no, I'm sorry, never mind. Claims in the amount of $670,352.77.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Class A fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license approval.
So the city has received 3 applications for the available Class A license. As I note in the memo, what the 3 applicants are. I would say that at this point, the Hudson Grocery Cooperative has applied, but they do not have a site yet that's been determined for their new building. So I would say that I would consider, while the application's been submitted and we have worked with other applicants for other types of licenses as they work through site issues and stuff like that. At this time, without a site being determined, I would have to say that would be a tough one to be able to fully consider. So I would say that the options really would be between the Lucky's Wine and More application and the Scogan's Food Liner Inc. application. So basically, per our ordinance, it comes to Finance Committee first, and then from there, the Finance Committee passes on to Council. So that's where we're at.
Do you want to hold this over to full council discussion, or do we want to talk it here?
We can talk it here. It's our job to make a recommendation to the council.
Okay.
Let's do that.
They can, obviously it'll be brought up.
Well, I got a couple points that I had mentioned last couple meetings ago now. My main thing with this is the needs of many or outweighs the need of a few with in regards to the grocery store being built. Hudson's in desperate need in my head for another grocery store. One of the comments that was made from the audience last time was in regards to specifically just liquor stores being such rah-rah community people. And I take exception of that because if you look at what County Market has done over the years, what Family Fresh when it was here has done over the years for this community, and what they donate to the food shelf, to many community organizations, to Rotary, I don't know how many years, County Market's always been there. When Dana Glade was there, it was constantly someone knocking and banging on their doors, whether it was brat stands, hot dog stands, you name it. They were community involved. Family Fresh was, as most grocery stores are. So the whole idea that community giving is inclusive to liquor stores is incorrect to say.
No, it's much broader than that. I agree with you.
Very much so.
Yes.
And the many clubs, the list goes on. Miss Hudson, you can name it. All of these organizations have all been benefited by our grocery stores, much like what Festival Food presented in their program to us. Now, do I like the idea that they're gonna say we're not coming if we can't get a liquor store? No, I don't like that. But at the same time, I think the weight of the fact we need another full grocery store outweighs that in my mind. So I guess community, it is community. And I think Festival Foods would be a welcome community, and I would support their liquor license application.
Are you making the motion?
I move so.
I'll make a second then.
I move to recommend approval of that liquor license to Scogden, if that's the right name, for the Festival Foods application.
And I second that.
Okay, now can we have discussion? Because I have a few things to say.
Got a motion and a second? Yep.
Yes, I wanted to wait. Lots of experience, the two of you, granting liquor license before. And I do appreciate, we got some information in our packet about the city's ordinances versus, guidance that the state might give. I found it rather lacking, though, that our packet did not include Chapter 145-11. There was a quote for -10 and 12, but that was omitted. So I'm not sure why that was, but I'd like to hand out these copies to you so you can look at them, so we can look at what our predecessors here on city council used as guidelines to choose how to give out the liquor license, because they are in big demand. These can go around to the other members, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Again, that was omitted from our packet, and I think it's very important because I can only imagine the hours of discussion that went into this, deciding, again, in City Ordinance 145-11, granting of license. Common Council may, but is not required to issue a license. So we could today make a decision to not give it out yet. That is possible. We could sit on this, and that's been done before, probably even while you've been serving. I'm sure it has been when you have, Randy. So I think it's important, though, to look at the guidelines of what was, this is partly we're just setting a principle. I know what you're saying about a grocery store, and there's a lot of places to buy food in Hudson, and just growing up raising my family here as a mom, people always complain about grocery prices, and a lot of people, I go to Stillwater, I go to Woodbury, because it's so expensive in Hudson. We're still going to hear that drumbeat no matter what grocery store might come. So we are fortunate to have various, we're not exactly a grocery desert here in Hudson, but we would like that piece of property to be developed, absolutely. It's a large piece, and only certain types of stores could benefit by it. So it's not a surprise to me that a grocery store would be one that would apply. So I'm certainly not putting that down as an applicant, but I don't think that we should just we're picking that this is the problem. This is what we've dealt with over the years, or you have, those of you who have served on the council longer than I, is people will say, well, why don't we have such and such store? Or why don't we have this in Hudson? Not another bank or whatever they might care to say. Well, we have to rely on who comes before us and who comes to community development and puts forth a request and an interest. And so I certainly appreciate the interest that Skolgan Foods has from a major Wisconsin food retailer, grocery store, and excellent, family-owned. They have employee benefits, or it's employee-owned partially. All really great things. It seems like they're going to, so I'm not trying to say that these points direct us away from the grocery store or to another store, but I do think it's important to keep in mind, because there will be other licenses that come to us in the maybe not in the near future, but it's important to remember why this was done. For example, if we look at number of employees and creation of new jobs, probably the grocery store is definitely going to be at the top there. Parking, et cetera, they're going to provide there'll be room for a big parking lot. Let's see what other things, contributing to the tax base, certainly that will be significant. One of the issues, for example, right now we do have an existing liquor store in town that would like another license. My concern about the location, so I would like to address some of those other parameters. Aaron brought forward the point about the Hudson Grocery Co-op. While they have worked hard to get established and are really reaching the point where they're ready to move forward, it's not probably wise for us to grant them a liquor license at this point. However, the time could come when we have two competing stores that are already in Hudson and they want a second location. Well, in this case, we do have an application from Lucky's Wine and More, and they are seeking another location, which is actually very close to another active store. Spirit Cellar is 50 yards away, 100 yards maybe, from the location that they were seeking. So that would be something that we would consider, is the location, how close they are together. That you don't get that many prime retail spots like that address on Crestview, but it's going to be close to Northland Liquor. Chiconi's is right down the way. In a short distance there's going to be several liquor stores available. So that would be, if we had other options, we might not consider that as favorably. So I just wanted to bring this out, that for the public to realize that we're looking through that. We're not just saying we need a grocery store, let's give them the license, but to weigh all the factors. And that is what I wanted to bring out tonight. Thank you.
Good points, and I appreciate that. I believe they're shovel ready to go, for one.
Yeah.
250 jobs, opportunities, possibly.
Yes, I mentioned that.
So there are a lot of.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned Lucky's application, of course. Yeah, that's almost hypocritical of the arguments that were made to not support, you know, the license to the liquor store, because they're competing, they're taking business away from their bottom line. Lucky's to Spirit Seller, Nova.
Casanova,
That,
right.
you
Those
know,
are-
it goes.
There's already two
hand in hand.
downtown. In that downtown area, there's already two. So I just felt that we should go through this process of discussing it in more detail, because there's a lot of work, a lot of principles that went into developing this ordinance 145-11. And I think, you know, proximity, tax base, absolutely, the boost to the economy is obviously going to be greater with the grocery store. And yes, we are hearing from people. We'd like another grocery store in town.
Well, the posts that I put on Facebook regarding the grocery store and the other applicants, it's overwhelming. We want another grocery store. So, yes, people have made other comments and have asked, you know, well, why can't we have Trader Joe's or another store? And, you know, they didn't apply. So,
That's correct. And of course, Facebook is subjective. I mean, we all are somewhat subjective, who we talk to, who we know. But again, this is a principle, and that is the only reason I wanted to bring it. I don't disagree with your motion or your second, but I thought it was important for those other applicants and for our residents to understand the process, and that we are following those guidelines that have been put in place years ago.
well, and the other thing that it's important for the public to realize too is that we do have the power to change the local liquor ordinance if we feel that there is another business that is really in need of a liquor license. We could update the ordinance in order to accommodate them. But at this point, I think that we're doing fine.
That's a great point, Joyce. As our attorney advised us in the issue sheet, you know, a lot of this is something that we have specified. And Hudson has plenty of reasons to control access to liquor historically, going back decades, and actually going back 2 years ago when the state of Minnesota was closed and we were not. Obviously, mayhem ensued. So you're absolutely right. We could, for example, drop the number to 2,000 if we chose to, a population base. So it is possible that we will make changes. We need to be thoughtful about it, and location and so on. And yes, I do want to support existing businesses. Does that mean that we make a decision just to protect or support? No, I think what's in place right now has been because of the historical issue being a border state, back to the day of the drinking age was 18 versus 21. You know, all of those issues have had an impact on how Hudson handles these decisions.
And the other thing that I don't think is even listed in this 145-11 is the impact to the police responsibilities. And, you know, I don't see large issues with having a grocery store that has an attached liquor store with it.
And let's be clear, this is not changing our ordinance to allow these liquor into
No.
grocery stores.
No, we're not.
This is a separate building from this. And
That
it's
is
not
correct.
going into convenience stores.
Yes, it is quite different than the proposal that was brought to us back in April, which would have really opened the barn door, in my opinion, because it was going to exempt, if we had passed it, the grocery stores, anyone who sold that certain volume of food would not have to meet our quota. In other words, they could apply for one. And it is true, we always have the prerogative to not award one, no matter who applies. We just have to continue to do our duty that way and consider things, so.
Just to clarify the comment, though, the request is not for a separate building. Your ordinance allows for a segregated bay
Entrance.
enclosure room, separate entrance. There can be a pass-through as long as it's all capable of being locked off and secured.
Correct, and I did speak with, and I'm sure you also did, other members, but with one of the executive team from Skogan Foods, and they indicated that all their other stores do have an attached separate entrance, meets our, so they're very comfortable and used to managing it this way. The door's locked. They may still sell food on the one side, but the liquor side is closed per our ordinance time, so they seem very capable of handling that.
I think we're done.
Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and second in front of us. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's approved. I don't have anything. Anybody?
Yes, I would like to add a finance of striping and markings throughout the city. I had a conversation with Mike as an issue to fund striping and markings for the city as a whole.
Okay.
We need to find some money to get better paint or have a service come in and get caught up. Start to become a safety issue that the lines, you can't see any lines.
And so you
Yeah.
want that here instead of coming
Yeah.
through safety or what?
Well, either way, it's gonna come both. We've already talked about it in safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just need funds to have it bid out.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you're right. You discussed it at the May Public Safety meeting, and this paint did not wear well this year, especially it's been applied to new mill and overlay coats. I don't know if that's a factor or whatever. I know our Public Works Director was trying to be as economical as possible in the selection. And so, right, Randy and his Public Safety team have discussed it at their meeting. So what you're suggesting is, could we talk about finding extra funds for him this year?
Yes.
For the summer? Okay?
Yes.
For the Public Works Department? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We'll start the council meeting in a few minutes.